if you're a small business owner and you struggle with promoting yourself, I really want you to hear this. There was a time when somebody could compliment something I made and I would literally say, "Thank you." That's it, and walk away. They could be wearing something I made, carrying something I designed, or asking me where I got what I'm wearing from. And I would get so uncomfortable to say, "I made it." And now, if somebody says, "I like your shirt," I say, "Thank you. I made it. It's actually part of my clothing line. I have them on my site." I do not feel weird about promoting myself anymore. So today, I really want to talk about what changed. And if you're a small business owner that is a little weird or scared about promoting yourself, I need you to hear this. So in the past, whenever I think about talking about my business, I'm like, oh, I'm bothering people too much, or people would think I'm always selling something to them. Or with social media, I'm like, okay, I already posted this a month ago, people already saw it. I don't have to keep reposting the same thing over and over again. I felt like I had spoken so much about the business and everybody knew about the business. So I was always weird sharing about the business, and I always waited for people to ask me about the business instead of proactively sharing my business with them. I think the biggest mistake I made was thinking that promoting my business was the same as begging people to buy something from me. But what I'm learning is that promotion is not everyday, please buy my stuff. It is, this is what I made. This is why I made it. This is the reason behind this design. This is how I use it. This is how you can use it. This is how my customers are using it. This is how my customer experience is going. That's what promotion is. And I think this change really helped me change how I viewed and perceived and approached promoting my small business. Because I didn't actually suddenly become a confident salesperson. I had to change how I looked at promotion. So it's not always I'm selling this bag, go buy it. Sometimes it's what fits into my bag. It's how to attach the straps. It's what fabric I used for these shirts and why. It's what my customers are saying about these bags. It's which colors are trending for the summer. It's everything but directly selling. It's everything that shares your world and your mind with your customers without necessarily saying this is the product, so go buy. But also, I'm going to come really close and tell you this. If you do not promote your small business, nobody is going to do it. If you're a small business owner, you know this, but nobody is sitting around thinking about your business 24/7. You are. Not that they're ignoring you or they do not care, but people have lives and your business is not their first priority. I'm sorry if I'm being brutally honest, but the truth is they probably do not know you because it's a saturated world and there is so much that we consume, and sometimes they may come across your page, like it, like a video, maybe even go to your shop and browse, but the next minute they forget about it. And that is why it is so important to keep pushing and not give up, because people need to constantly see you for you to become something that is ingrained on their minds and something that they think about and want to invest in. Otherwise, it's just a page that they see, swipe through, and the next minute they forget. And I think this is why it's so important to believe in the product that you're selling, because it makes a huge difference and it makes everything easier for you to stand by it and keep pushing it because you believe in your product and you believe in your services. And I think there is a huge difference between saying, I made this and I hope people like it, versus saying, I made this and I think it's beautiful and worth having. You do not have to pretend that your product is like perfect and all that, but you should be able to answer the question, why would somebody want this? I think when it comes to social media, one thing that I realized is that every video doesn't have to be a sales pitch. My product can be the subject of the video without every video screaming, buy this. So for my bag, sometimes you see content about styling my bag, what's in my bag, taking my bag on vacation, me and my bag in New York. How many times did I say my bag? But seriously, I will also talk about why I design particular features like the snap, the closure, the straps. And I think with all these features, it gives you content to keep going. People will ask questions about what is the lining, what fits into it. And all of these are like content that I can keep recycling to show my customers and the viewers of the functionality on the bag without saying buy this bag. And for my shirts, sometimes I would wear it, styling it on myself, styling it on others. I talk about why I chose a particular fabric, print, texture, what inspired me to design it. There is so much to talk about when it comes to your products. So I'm not just showing you my products, but I'm showing you what life looks like with my products and giving you a little insight into my brain. And I think that's what people like to see. And that makes your content not boring and overly repetitive. And the funny thing is, some of my simplest contents were the most successful. For example, I usually show myself packing orders, and this has become a content pillar for me, and it always does well. I have hundreds of thousands of views coming from my packing orders videos, and it brings in so much sale because when I'm packing orders, I get to show my process. People get to see the bags actually going out and also seeing the bags in the process, and they're like, okay, this business is turning around. This is something that I should get in before I miss out. So the thing is, you don't have to create a production. You're literally doing this every day. If you are getting orders, you're packing orders every day. You're sending out orders every day. If you're not getting orders, you are reaching out to clients. You're sending emails. You're setting up your website. You're stocking your shelves. You are whatever you're doing is content, and you should be documenting that in a way that is as simple as possible for you. When I do my pack orders with me videos, I get to share my story. Sometimes I'm talking over them. Sometimes I'm using music, but people get to see behind the scenes of what's happening. Sometimes I'm carrying my child on my back. Sometimes it's just me in the basement at the end of the night and everybody's sleeping and I'm packing my order. Sometimes I use the opportunity to really share my product and talk about my product. And sometimes I'll use the opportunity to celebrate a customer. There is so much to talk about when it comes to running a business. And I think instead of trying to think about like a big production where everything is like clean and proper, just record what you're doing and start posting. As you do, you start to get comfortable, you start to see what people are interested in, and then you start to double down on it. And I think one of the limitations and mental blocks that some small business have is that they think they have to have the perfect space and the perfect lighting. And I have come a long way from where I started, and I love this space and I've poured so much into it over the years, but it's still not perfect. And I still create content. You have this beautiful background, but nobody knows what's going around. And sometimes my kids are running around. Sometimes I have a leaking roof, but I find a nice corner like I'm doing now, and we're going to create that content and share it. And if you're sitting there saying, okay, Grace, what do I post? I have a few ideas for you. So I'm going to tell you some of the ideas that I put together. You can do a pack and order with me, and don't just go through it quickly. Do something like this order is going to Houston, which is what I usually do, or this order is for Natalie, or tell a story while packing the order. Show your process. Talk about this is what happens after you place your order. I pick this from here and I put it here, and I get boxes from here, and I get my tissues from here, and I have this printer, or I go to the post office every Monday, and blah, blah, blah. Talk about your process. Talk about your challenges. People love this. You can talk about what I didn't know before starting my business. 5 ways I failed this year. I almost didn't launch this line. I almost didn't start this brand. An order that got missing and I had to refund. There is so much challenges that we go through as small business owners, and people literally live for this kind of content. So talk about it. Who's laughing? And if they are, let them laugh. But you are creating your content and you're learning through it, and don't listen to them. If you're in the product business, explain why you designed a particular item the way you did. Talk about the fabric, the materials you picked, why you picked them, the reasons why you didn't pick anything else. This turns your product story into a story that somebody is particularly interested in and they can resonate with you, and that makes the purchasing easier. Answer frequently asked questions. For me, because of my bags, I get questions like, what's the inside of the bag like? So I do things like showing the lining in the bag and why I chose that, how to attach the straps, the magnetic snap and how it works, what fits into my bag, things like that. There is so many questions that people may have about your product. Maybe do a poll and ask people questions. Social media platforms have so many ways to ask questions to your followers, so maybe use that opportunity to ask them what are some of the questions they have about your product, and then gather that information and use that as videos. Even if you got one response, start with that, and you see that as you start to respond to some of those things, other people become more interested and more intrigued, and you feel like, oh, if I ask a question, she's gonna answer, so I'm going to ask a question, and that's how you get that engagement back and forth. And then this becomes a content pillar for you. So instead of somebody DMing you and you telling them, oh, it's a silk lining, or oh, this is how you attach the straps, it becomes a content for you that you can post today with music, you can post tomorrow with voiceover on, you can post next month with a text on. There is so many ways that you can reuse your content, and understanding that just opened my eyes. And like I said, people love to see the challenges that we go through as small businesses, sometimes because they want to venture into it and they just want to learn a little bit about the challenges they should prepare for. But most times people are just nosy, and those kind of contents will do well. So talk about inventory problem. Talk about a time when your website crashed, you setting up your page and not able to do it. The struggles you have dropping off your packages as a mom that also has to drop off the kids at school. There is so much to talk about. I can think about supplier problems. I've talked about those before. Pricing challenges, not able to figure out how to price my products because I don't know if people will accept it, but I also need to make a profit. Talk about returns. You know, sometimes you stretch yourself so much for customers and then they end up returning the product. Just talk about it. You experience something, talk about it. Next content that you can do is actually talking about the product. For example, this is my bag. It's the Layla handbag. This is why I designed it. This is why I chose a genuine leather instead of a synthetic leather. This is why I chose a silk lining. The metals are all copper plated. Like, you just talk about the product and let people come to know the product. And there is so much content to make around one product that once you actually start to pick it apart, you realize the possibilities are just unlimited. The possibilities are just limitless. Talk about something you learned as part of running your small business. And boy, don't we learn every day. Like, not every motivational content has to be how I made 10K. Sometimes it's like what I wish I knew before starting my small business, or some of the challenges I ran into because I didn't have X, Y, and Z situated before doing this. It's so valuable and people resonate with you. And when people connect with you, they support you. Now, the last piece of content that I'm going to share with you is talking about your business while doing something else. And I struggle with this because your girl cannot multitask, especially when it comes to like doing makeup and talking about my business or like packing orders. I would end up doing a voiceover because I feel like sometimes I just be chatting away without saying what I need to say. But if you're able to, I think it's a great piece of content. Talking while getting dressed, talking while packing your order, while walking, while driving to the post office. There is so much to talk about. If you know me, You know, I love my products and I would always wear a G-Touch something. And I would always get compliments about them like, oh, I like your shirt. Oh, I like your bag and your earrings are so cute. And in the past, I'll be so shy. Sometimes my husband will actually step in and say, she made them. She makes them. Be like, babe, give them your business card. And I'll be so shy. But now, if you tell me I like your shirt, I'm like, yeah, I know you do. Thank you so much. I made it. It's actually part of my clothing line. And I beam into laughter because I am so proud of what I've created. Now, let me say this. Being confident about your brand also does not mean turning every conversation into a sales pitch. Sometimes it's just responding with grace and telling them that this is yours, it's your business. And then if they want to continue the conversation, he can say, oh, what's the brand? Do you have a website? Then that's when you actually start a sales pitch. Please do not take every compliment as a sales pitch opportunity. So if you're watching this and at this point you're like, Grace, I know I have to promote my business and I haven't. I want you to know I get it. I have been there. And honestly, you do not have to be an extrovert to promote your business. You just have to share what you do. Every single day, share what you do because you already do it. So just set up the camera while you're doing it and start sharing. Also, your audience actually need repetition because you have seen your product 500 times. Your audience probably haven't, especially on social media. What feels like I've been posting every day about this may be the first time that somebody actually discovers your page or your product. And this is so true because I was on TikTok with G-Touch for years. And it just felt like nobody was discovering me until one day everybody did. And as I'm talking about social media, I think if it's possible, start a new page for your business. I used to combine everything, my family, my earrings, my bags, my clothes, everything together. And once I started to separate it, I started to see more traction. And also I started to become less conscious about promoting a product or my business because I'm like, this is my business page. What else would I post there but my product and talking about things that I do, right? Versus combining it with my family. And it feels like, okay, is this a family page or is this a business page? So if you can, and it's not too overwhelming, separate them. I think it's going to give you a lot more clarity. Next, I'm saying this with a lot of kindness, but it's not your customer's job to discover you. It's your job to put your product and your services in front of them. So don't be shy. Put it out. And those that are your customers will find you and they will buy into it. But if you think they have to discover you, it probably would take a long time before they do. And like I said before, I go to sleep thinking about my business and I wake up thinking about it. Nobody thinks about your business as much as you do. So why not put it out there for people to see it? Not because you think you're all that or like your product is going to fix the world, but because you put in time, you put in money, you put in your creativity, you put in sweat and sacrifices. And why sit on it? Why? Tell me. Why? The final thing that I want to say is that you can sell without losing your authenticity. People think salespeople are like shady and all of that, but you can really sell by just being yourself. Your personality is beautiful and people need to see the bubbliness, the cheekiness, all about you. And you can leverage that to sell without losing yourself. I really do not want to lose myself in the process of promoting G-Touch. Yeah, sometimes I have to show up a different way because, this is my brand and I want to present a face and, but this is me. I'm bubbly. I love to dress up. I love to talk about my products and the smiles is all me. Like, this is me. And I'm not going to lose myself because I need you to buy something from me. That's not going to happen. Not here. So I think looking back, the difference between then and now is not that I all of a sudden became confident and fearless and wants to walk into every room and talk about my business. I still have moments where I do not want to talk about the business. And I think it's good to know where and when to talk about your business. But now I'm not just telling people to just buy my products, but I'm using the opportunity to show them the product, show them my process, talk about my experiences, why I design certain things, some of the challenges that I've been through, some of the wins that I've had, what I wish I did differently. And in that process, I get to put my products in front of people, and sometimes I get a sale. With all these years of being so scared to promote my brand, and after all these years of working on it and getting here, I'm starting to feel like I'm not forcing people to buy my products. I'm simply sharing what I have made. And the fact is, if I made something and I don't share about it, who is going to? If you enjoyed this video, I hope you subscribe, like, comment, share with somebody who is going through it and needs a little motivation to start building some confidence to promote their small business. I am hoping I can use this forum to talk about some of my challenges, some of my wins, some of my processes, and help each other and uplift each other as we go through this tough journey of being small business owners. So stay tuned for more, and thank you so much for being with me till now. I love you. Bye. And for my share, sometimes I will